In this video, I take a vintage male mannequin torso and using fiberglassing techniques turn him into an abstract display bust. And in the first video in this series, I fit the torso with glass eyes, and I also carried out the initial planning stages and cut the sides of the torso off. And it might be a good idea to watch that video to get a clearer idea of how the planning stages took place. So, inside the torso, he's made of fiberglass, and there's a lot of fluffy, free fiberglass that you need to remove before carrying on with the next stages of this torso. So I have my Black & Decker workmate here, which is super useful, and I have a very thin plastic sheet, which is actually a to rent sign here in Greece, if you're wondering what that says. And I just place the torso on the side like that. One side's straighter than the other, so I'm going to work with the straighter side, and I've tried to cut as straight a line through him as I possibly can, but it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect because we're going to fill in the sides now. And so you want to get him securely tied onto whatever you're working on, just so it doesn't move while you're filling in the sides. And here I am using polyester automotive filler, and I use this in every video. You've probably seen it before if you follow me. Basically, just follow the manufacturer's instructions. And here I'm mixing a much smaller amount than what I need to carry on with Tristram's torso. That's his name, by the way. So I take the polyester automotive filler and I'm just packing it in from the front around the edges there. You need to work relatively quickly if you are in a warm environment. Like I said, I live in Greece, so the temperatures get quite hot here, and this is summer, and I think I had about 4 or 5 minutes to work with the stuff before it starts to set. Now I've got a kitchen spatula here and I'm just pushing it in from the front, trying to not get too much of a demarcation line where it is running into Tristram's torso, but you know, that is impossible to get it absolutely smooth. I am going to definitely have to do some sanding. So really it's just trying to get a nice contour that flows in from his original sculpt. And I'm packing this in and trying to make sure that I get a very watertight connection to this sign. And I guess you could use any sheet of plastic for this, some acetate plastic or anything that's got some flexibility, because when I'm doing the other side, you're going to see how the flexibility comes in handy. So now I'm just smoothing this off before it cures and working around his entire torso basically. Now you can see where it lifts off a little bit there. If the gap's bigger than this, you're going to have a lot of trouble getting this automotive filler to connect both the sign and the mannequin. There we go. So it takes a few attempts to fill in this gap. Like I said, it's probably about as big as you would ever want to have this gap. And now I'm creating a bit of a dam along the bottom there by just packing on the automotive filler, and I just try to make sure that I get a good connection in the corners there. This is going to get removed ultimately. So now I'm using polyester resin, and quite a decent amount, just in one of these plastic cups, and I am mixing about an equal amount of automotive filler. Automotive filler is just polyester resin with some sort of bulking agent. Now I'm adding the catalyst. This is the catalyst from the polyester resin, a decent amount of it. I mean, obviously following manufacturer's instructions about the amounts of catalyst for resin ratio, but there is a little bit of leeway there. And I'm just pouring it inside, obviously, and using an old paintbrush to just distribute it as evenly and making sure it makes contact with the sides of Tristram's torso. And this takes a little bit longer to cure, and after it's cured you can carry on with the next stage, which is fiberglassing. And I've just put a layer of fiberglass down on top of the resin which is slightly tacky, so it's quite good. It holds on to the fiberglass quite nicely. And now I'm mixing up a new batch of resin, this time without any of the automotive filler mixed into it. And making sure I give it a good old stir. Now I'm just pouring the resin onto the fiberglass, getting a very generous amount on there, and now using another brush to just push it down into the previous layer of resin mixed with the automotive filler. And this stuff changes color, which is quite good. So it's green when it's uncured, and as it cures, it becomes grayer looking, I guess you would call it, for lack of a better word. But the color change is very handy, and you want to just make sure you use a generous amount. And I'm also concentrating on making sure that that layer of resin comes up and meets the original mannequin. Once it's cured, you do it again. So you want 2 layers of fiberglass, so it's a nice strong surface on the side of the mannequin. Take it in. You don't want to be breathing this in. You want to make sure you've got your mask on so that you don't breathe in the fumes, and you also want to do it outside. Probably this is outside so that the fumes don't build up. And that's what it looks like after it's cured. So that's the next day. So you can see it goes grey. The green tone disappears. Now I'm lifting it off this sign, this to rent sign. And you can see how much movement that plastic has in it, and this is what you get. And it's lifted the transfer of the writing off, but that doesn't matter, it's going to get painted over anyway. So this is why this sign is good, because now obviously this side is curved, and I've taken this cushion, which is like a beanbag type cushion. It's got quite a lot of movement in it, and I'm going to just create this curve that follows Tristram's side. And you can see it doesn't fit absolutely perfectly. This little area here is, the gap's a bit too big. So what I'm going to do here is slide something under there that just fills in that gap as well. And that is a pen, an artist's pen. Of course, it'll entirely depend on what kind of gap and what size it is you have to fill. So here, from the inside, I am filling in Tristram's torso with the automotive filler using a wooden spatula. And of course this side's slightly more difficult than the first side because I have to work from the inside, because obviously the other side is enclosed now, so I can't actually gain access straight down. Here I have a bamboo skewer, and I'm just scoring through the uncured filler, and that's just going to mean that later on I have less sanding to do because it'll just break off. Now this is actually a keyboard cleaning tool, and it basically is like a silicone spatula that's very small, and I'm just using it around here because it's quite a sharp, narrow contour, and I also have to get under his head there, and I'm just trying to work at getting some of that filler, polyester filler, into that very small crack that runs around the top of his shoulder there. Now, just as I did before, I am making a dam at the end, and that is just so that when I pour the polyester resin, it doesn't just flow out all over the place. Now this side is a little trickier because it is curved. The resin is going to flow off the apex of that hill or that bump, whatever you want to call it. So I've actually tried to purposefully mix the automotive filler, and polyester resin is slightly thicker because it is going to settle in the low points of this curve, and I don't want it to just flow out over that dam that I've built. So I've just put a plastic bag over Tristram's head, and that is because I don't want any of this polyester filler dust that I'm about to create to settle in his eyes. Here I'm just tidying up the edges with my Dremel. Now I'm just cutting off a slice at the base, and that's just so he can stand up and I can analyze what I have. This is a bit of P60 sandpaper that I am just trying to smooth off the little undulations that the Dremel created. And this is what you get. It's quite rough, but you can see it's got a nice smooth contour to it. We'll be putting another layer of polyester filler over that, and that will take care of those rough edges. And I apply it with a wooden spatula, as you can see here, and then I'm just going to smooth it through with my silicone kitchen spatula. This shoulder corner, whatever you want to call it, is quite difficult because you can see he's got his collarbone lying right next to it, and I'm trying to just get a nice smooth curve to his shoulder. You can pull the handle off your spatula. The handle is not going to be very useful at all generally. And I'm just trying to move my hand in a very fluid motion so that I get a nice contour. Right, and I've got this bungee cord that's in the way here, so I'm just trying to work around that. I'm going to have to sand this very well, and I hate sanding, the bane of my life, but a necessary evil. So I'm trying to get this as smooth as possible, obviously, so that my sanding job will be as easy as possible. And I did try to get my husband to tell me how to pronounce to rent in Greek, but it's impossible for me, so I'm not even going to attempt that here. And now I'm taking him off the sign, and I left him on there so that I could get that first side sanded nicely, and it just kept it more secure. This side I'm not going to have the advantage of that, but at least he is flat on this side. I'll tie him back onto my Black & Decker bench, and I'll do the sanding with him attached with a bungee, which helps. And here I'm just obviously sawing off the ends of that base area. So here you can see I have very small amounts of automotive filler and catalyst next to each other on this paper plate, and I prefer to work in smaller amounts as I'm doing this final contouring of the torso, because it is a shame to waste this automotive filler when you mix up more than you can use. So I just tend to sort of work in very small batches, work along the edges, fill in any little divots and rough areas, and it's not the end of the world if it cures before I use it. So I'm just working along, correcting any edges that need to be smoothed out, trying to make sure that the spatula only runs along the original mannequin and not this new area that I've just created with the to rent sign, for lack of a better word. So he had some hairline cracks on the back of his neck that I have fixed, and you can see that's a pretty nice contour. He has this chip on his chest, and I fixed that by following the techniques that I show in the 90s mannequin rescue video, and you might want to check that out to see how I did that. And I don't know if you can see, he doesn't sit very straight, so I am going to slice a little bit more off the bottom of him, and I use a hacksaw blade to just draw some lines, just earmark what needs to come off. You can bend the hacksaw blade around the front curved area of his stomach there, which is quite handy, and I'm slicing it down like a loaf of bread, trying to just get a very square finish to the base of this torso. And I am undercoating him now. I have some pieces of cardboard stuck to his eyes with blue tack. I'm trying to be conscious of not letting the dust of the undercoat drift under that cardboard. I could use pieces of masking tape, but I would prefer not to, because I'm worried you might get a mark where the edges of the masking tape was sitting on his face, so I prefer to do it the other way. Now I have painted him flesh tone using the roller technique, and I show that technique in my vintage mannequin restore and makeup video, so you might want to check that one out as well if you want to know how to paint with a roller. And here he is, very stylish looking, and I'm still not sure how his face is going to be painted. That will be the subject of another video that I will probably post in a few weeks. And if you have any ideas about who he should be, what he should look like, leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching.